Good evening, I am Phoebe Swale and you're watching News Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Coming up in the bulletin this evening, Nigerians in diaspora organization Sierra Leone chapter pledge their support to President Bio's government. World Bank country team report on Sierra Leone's economy shows poor economic performance for 2017. The Minister of Works and the Sierra Leone Roads Authority monitor ongoing roads in the western area. And the Sierra Leone Brewery Limited records a profit of 3.9 billion yuans in 2017. These and more, including sports, coming up in Newshour on SLBC. Stay with us for news. News are on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. The Sierra Leone Brewery Limited records a profit of 3.9 billion yuans in 2017. Let's now join Hawa Mosi for the details.
Have a long-standing relationship spanning since the colonial era. He reminded the delegation that Nigeria is the first country to support Sierra Leone during the war. The president spoke of the sacrifices Nigeria made for Sierra Leone at the height of the civil conflict and the very critical role they played to restore peace and democracy the country now enjoys. That, he says, Sierra Leone will never forget. He assured them of his state responsibility to make sure that the country remained peaceful and create an enabling environment for them to do their business. President Bio said he believed that West Africans should take advantage to develop the region.
Our nation was at war and you came in, you stood by us and you saved us. So I am always grateful. My business is to make sure that Sierra Leone is a peaceful and secure place. My business is to make sure that we provide a business climate that is inviting for everybody around the world. And like one of you said, for me, luckily we are not in a different category, but in West Africa, the Francophone and the Anglophone boundaries is what we have to break because we don't need them. There's so much we can exchange and learn from each other that we really don't even need to go out of this region to progress. We talk about development every day, but I go to Nigeria, there are several things there that we can learn from in terms of experience, in terms of expertise. Some of your greatest administrators went to university here. So there is so much in common in terms of culture. So my business is to make sure that we provide a climate that is congenial for your businesses to succeed. Our business is to make sure that there is security in this country so that you can go about and do your businesses in every part of this country. And we want to develop together. It is unfortunate we've not been able to tap into your market because of the nature of what we do. But if we can just break the boundaries and really have a common market, there's so much we can gain together. And that is one crusade I want to take on with the other leaders in West Africa so that, I mean, market size is an asset in trade. and we should take advantage of the market we have in West Africa. That way, we don't need the other, we are struggling a lot because we've been thinking in silos instead of, collectively.
Earlier, President of the Nigeria Diaspora Organization, Anes Ude, on behalf of the membership, expressed their interest to support the health and sanitation and the education sectors. Mr. Ude congratulated President Bio on his election as president, updating him about the organization's activities in Sierra Leone, among others, the business sector. The Nigeria Diaspora Organization president described the relationship between the two countries as great. He briefed the president that they have been working in close collaboration to strengthen the bilateral ties between Sierra Leone and Nigeria. He noted the immense contribution of the Nigerian community to the development process of Sierra Leone. Mr. Ude also explained that the Nigerian Diaspora Organization is represented in other countries across the globe and that they have enjoyed staying in Sierra Leone in a conducive environment. His organization, he promised, will continue to work towards the government's new direction agenda.
Your Excellency, this is NIDO, Sierra Leone chapter. NIDO means Nigerians in Diaspora Organization. It's a worldwide organization with chapters in all the countries of the world. It is an umbrella that brings together all Nigerians resident in Sierra Leone from all walks of life so that we talk to ourselves, address ourselves, talk into our own languages to make sure that we contribute our best towards the development of the country. And in these areas, we are doing our best to make sure that things keep moving well in this country. As far as we are concerned, the peace of the country, the progress of the country, the success of the country, they are all our concerns. And we are interested in doing our best at any level, at all times, to make sure that these areas are promoted. That is why, Your Excellency, we are here before you to say congratulations. We thank God for the success. It is not an easy feat, but Your Excellency has achieved it through the will of the Almighty God. And we are here to convey our happiness, our satisfaction, our joy to Your Excellency to see we are happy. And that at this point, we will continue to pledge our loyalty, our support at all times, that we are ready, we are willing to always collaborate with His Excellency and the team to make sure that at any point in time, at anything that we are required of, we'll make sure that it is done at all times as far as it affects us.
You're watching Newshour on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. More news up next after this breaking news story.
Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a press release from the Office of the President. Pursuant to Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008, the general public is hereby informed that it has pleased His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio to announce the following appointment, subject to the approval of Parliament. Francis Ben Kaifala Esquire, Commissioner, Anti-Corruption Commission. Other appointments will be announced in due course. I go over this press release again. Pursuant to Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008, the general public is hereby informed that it has pleased His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio to announce the following appointment, subject to the approval of Parliament. Francis Ben Kaifala Esquire, Commissioner, Anti-Corruption Commission. Other appointments will be announced in due course. And that's a press release from the Office of the President. This is a Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation.
You're still watching Newshour on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba, has expressed government's commitment to implement significant recommendations in the final report by the European Union Election Observation Mission in Sierra Leone. The report is the outcome of the findings by the EU observers during the March 2018 elections. Hawana Tubangula reports.
Dr. Ali Kaba, in his keynote address, thanked the EU observer mission for the assistance provided through the elections and for what he described as a wonderful post-elections report put together by the EU observer team. He noted that this was a showcase of the European Union Election Observation Mission commitment to the political, social and economic development of the country. He added that the government values their commitment to the development of democratic institutions. The foreign minister recommended that EU should move from traditional observation mission to conflict management when political parties experience an election stalemate, especially when they have considerably invested in the political institutions, and they should not stand by to watch them crumble in conflicts. He assured his audience that the recommendations are well noted and that government is firmly committed to looking into them soonest. Statements by the EU Elections Observation Mission Chief Observer, Honorable Jean Lambert, Commissioner for NEC, Madame Miata French, and presentation of the EU recommendations by the mission experts, followed by a group discussion, formed part of the ceremony. In another engagement, a delegation from a UK-based charity, Street Sports Hope, led by the founder Ali Cisse, held discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba. The meeting, according to the founder, was to introduce their charity organization to the foreign minister and to update him on their activities and programs in Sierra Leone.
The new executive chairperson of the Environment Protection Agency, EPA, Dr. Fode Jawad, has signed an integrity pledge with the Anti-Corruption Commission at the agency's office, Brookfields. The integrity pledge is to commit MDAs in the fight against corruption. EPA is the first institution that has signed an integrity pledge with the ACC in this new dispensation. Sheku Somaila tells us more.
The Environment Protection Agency was established by an Act of Parliament in 2008, as amended in 2010, as an agency that is responsible for the proper management and protection of the country's environment. That is what they have been doing since, but not without challenges, as the country continues to grapple with issues of deforestation, flooding, land degradation, landslide, heavy winds, erosion, late rains, air and sea pollution, among others. However, Sierra Leone is a signatory to several protocols, conventions and treaties on environmental protection, the most recent being the Paris Climate Change Agreement for reduction in the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Some of these agreements have been domesticated by the country's parliament. But for environmental protection to be effective and efficient, and for these agreements to be properly implemented, integrity is key. The reason why EPA always invites the ACC to sign an integrity pledge to commit themselves to ensuring they work in a corrupt-free environment. They have been doing this for the past few years. In this new dispensation, EPA is the first institution that has signed an integrity pledge with the Anti-Corruption Commission. Apart from the executive chairperson, directors, deputy directors, and heads of departments also signed the integrity pledge with the ACC. The acting commissioner of the ACC, Shirley Davis, said he was impressed with EPA because the institution does not wait for an invitation from the ACC to sign an integrity pledge, but rather they invite the ACC to commit themselves.
But let me also add my voice to say that we feel very, very satisfied that amongst the many institutions of government, we are pleased to know that the Environmental Protection Agency is amongst the only institutions that have called us to say, come and assist us to address the issues of corruption in our institution. It's quite familiar. It is not seen in many other institutions. Sometimes when we make the approaches to go to their institutions, they are always cheating. And we understand for obvious reasons. Those who live in glass houses, they always are afraid when stones are thrown. So we feel very satisfied that amongst the many institutions of government, the Environmental Protection Agency has stood up high in terms of integrity, in terms of ensuring that the institution is clean. And we hope that other institutions, like the executive chairperson has said, will follow the good example.
The executive chairperson of EPA, Dr. Fode Jawad, said fighting corruption is priority in President Bio's agenda, adding that it is a collective responsibility to curb corruption. Dr. Jawad said that it is a must that the environment is protected, and it is also a must that corruption is fought.
Corruption has been a bane in promoting good governance, peace, and security in Sierra Leone. That is why His Excellency, the retired Brigadier General's Madabio's new directions, topmost priority is fighting corruption in the various shapes and forms, and promoting a disciplined approach in the way we run the affairs of the state. This commitment is not his alone. It is about all of us.
Now that the rains are here, environmental protection should be a concern to all, taking into consideration the recent past. Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheikh Usmaila.
The Sierra Leone Brewery Limited has recorded a profit of 3.9 billion leones in 2017 financial year, after a loss of 28 billion leones in 2016. The revenue growth was driven by the implementation of additional production capacity and increased demand as a result of new product introduction, effective commercial activities, and positive impact of the Finance Act. The chairman, Boydwin Halasma, made the pronouncement during the company's annual shareholders meeting in Freetown. Ibrahim Samoana reports.
Pleased to announce that a positive operating result was achieved in 2017. This is an important milestone which was last achieved in 2013. The operating result moves from a loss of 28 billion in 2016 to a profit of 3.9 billion in 2017. This was mainly a result of increased sales revenue, effective and efficient commercial spending, improved production efficiencies, and robust cost management.
The 54th annual shareholders meeting of the Sierra Leone Brewery Limited was viewed by shareholders as a success for the company, especially for the significant improvement in the 2017 financial year. In the 2017 financial year, the company recorded a profit of 3.9 billion, which was last achieved in 2013, and the net profit increased significantly. The chairman, Bodwin Harsman, said Sierra Leone Brewery Limited achieved strong business growth in 2017, saying that net revenue grew by 86% from 59.6 billion leones in 2016 to 110.9 billion leones in 2017.
The net financing cost decreased to 14.7 billion compared to 62 billion in 2016, primarily driven by the lower exchange rate losses of foreign currency denominated loans. These were largely repaid during the 2016 refinancing of the company. As a result of all this, the net profit improved significantly from a loss of 90.1 billion in 2016 to to a loss of 10.6 billion in 2017.
The investment program in 2017 to transform operations continue with a total investment of 81 billion leones. This investment focused on modernizing brewery, increasing production capability, and improving environmental compliance to meet international standards, including the installation of 7 new fermentation storage tanks, commissioning of modern wastewater treatment, among others. Chairman Hasman told stakeholders that in 2018, the Sierra Leone Brewery Limited will continue to make positive impacts on the socio-economic development of the country, continuation of the Sorghum projects, and corporate social responsibility initiative. Ibrahim Samura, Freetown.
The Ministry of Health and Sanitation is to introduce opioid replacement therapy to address the misuse of drugs. Opioid is a natural substance released in the body to respond to pain and exhibit similarities to opium. There is a direct link between drug misuse and HIV/AIDS, which has warranted multi-factored approach by the National AIDS Secretariat and the Legal Aid Board. Princess Gibson has the details.
Of an amount harmful to the body, resulting to disorder in society. Sierra Leone is currently faced with the misuse of tramadol, marijuana, and cocaine, among others, which leads to antisocial behaviors. The demand level of these drugs has increased, which has warranted the intervention of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, that is poised to introduce opium replacement therapy.
Therefore, introduce opioid replacement therapy.
The use of opium medicines to serve as a replacement for drugs dependence. This is a demand for the use of these drugs. Therefore,
the head of Media and Public Relations, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Emmanuel Tue, has told SLBC that all ambassadors have received their repatriation package. Mr. Tue was reacting to an allegation that the repatriation package sent to Sierra Leone's ambassadors and press attaches were far below what they should have received. Francis Danema reports.
The government has been making frantic efforts to repatriate all ambassadors, attachés, and their families back to Sierra Leone. On 25 May 2018, President Bio issued an executive order relieving all current Sierra Leone's ambassadors and attachés of their duties. Last week, Ministry of Finance announces over 2 billion leones for their repatriation. Head of Media and Public Relations Officer, Minister of Foreign Affairs Emmanuel Toure said all ambassadors have received their repatriation packages.
The monies, as far as I'm concerned, from the interview I listened to, if you're of a critical thinking mood, or you do critical analysis, if the minister, the ambassador is telling you some received 5,000, some 7,000 or so, just giving variance of monies they've sent, that means they are already aware of what has been sent to them. But all I am saying, from verification from our embassies and missions around the world, what we have as I speak here, all of them except for Ethiopia that got theirs a bit late, but all of these other ambassadors have got their monies.
Emmanuel Toure said the Minister of Finance did not use the standard of repatriation used by the Minister of Foreign Affairs in 2008, which saved more money for the state and prevented such accusation.
In 2008, when the former government was when Haja Zainab Bangura was Minister of Foreign Affairs, I think a lot of media carried a story that she was able to raise a lot of money for the country as a result of the repatriation of ambassadors and other attachés. This was as a result of the procedure. Normally, according to what we have in the Act of Rule number 9 in the Civil Service Code, If we look at number 53 and 51 running down to 53, it tells you exactly that government takes care of your flight ticket, takes care of the shipment of the container. His Excellency the Ambassador was saying 40 feet container. As enshrined in what I've just quoted, is 20 feet container. And that is done directly with the shippers, not with the individual ambassadors to do that. We set the rules here, right, based on what I've just quoted, and that was relayed to the Ministry of Finance. Guess you've talked to them, okay, but this money was now sent to the officials there to facilitate their movement.
The PRO said MDA's concern will look into the issue to avoid further controversy. The Ministry of Finance and Economy.
And now in business news, business people at King Jimmy Market have called on governments to construct a proper market. According to the traders, they find it difficult to do their business. King Jimmy is the oldest market in the city with a rich history dating back to the abolition of slave trade. Millicent Mercy Lunge filed in this report.
Traders come here every day to find their living. The bridge that divides the market is currently in a bad state and is an eyesore for traders, customers, and the community. A young man who resides along the bridge in the Kinjimi community, Omar Bangura, said the youth of the community have been cleaning the bridge and the drainages, but people are in the habit of throwing garbage at night, thereby causing unhealthy condition of people.
Umaru Bangura, as a young man, I always mobilize my fellow youths to clean the drainages to ensure that the market and its environs are kept clean. But unknown people do dump garbage in the same drainages they clean. This is making people sick in the market and the community.
The Chialidi King Jimmy Market Nene Sanko called on the city council to clean the bridge and develop bylaws for defaulters and to construct a modern market for traders.
But from when the bridge broke, the broke market, from that time they will not see no help.
As Chialidi of the King Jimmy Market, we are concerned at the state of the bridge. Since the bridge collapsed, there has been no help from government or NGOs. The market is without stores and other facilities to accommodate us during the rains. The collapse of the bridge has worsened the situation.
That bridge broke, the carry market there, will not get stone here, all kind of problem.
This market is not only the oldest, but one that caters for variety of foodstuffs and used clothing. The market used to be well organized with a segmentation arrangement, but this is not the case anymore, as filth are now taking over. Traders here are not happy with the present state of the market. They say since colonial time, the structure has remained the same without refurbishment. The market was constructed for ex-soldiers on slavery. The name of the soldiers were written on bricks at a particular location of the market, which used to attract tourists. Today, the monument is being covered by garbage. It is now used as a trade fair point where traders from different parts of the country meet to sell and buy markets on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. The importance of the market cannot be overemphasized. Governments need to pay urgent attention to it so that the Kinjimi market will regain its lost glory.
The Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, Bendu Dasama, says her ministry is now enjoying a relatively operational stability, which she says is as a result of an improved working relationship. According to her, her team and collaboration are key in her work. Nasiruddin Koma has more.
The Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs is charged with the responsibility of responding to the social needs pertaining to gender inequality, social depravity of groups like the disabled, women and children, and also marginalization based on religious belongings. By law, the ministry assesses, evaluates, and addresses the general welfare situation in the country as it affects vulnerable groups. It ensures the protection of rights of children in accordance with government's current policies based on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs had been in leadership quagmire during the last regime. Past ministers and their deputies had had very bad times undermining the operation of the ministry, with President Julius Maada Bio emphasizing on improving the welfare of women, children, and persons living with disabilities. The new minister, Bindu Dasama, says the leadership problem of the ministry has ended with her in charge. Minister Dasama says she believes a leader can only succeed when working in consultation and sincere collaboration with a team. Speaking to SLBC, she said there is perfect working relationship between her and her deputy.
But like I've assured everybody, and I'll keep assuring people, there are going to be no more fights, or there is going to be no more fights in social welfare, because I believe my leadership is going to be different, because I believe in working as a team. I believe in valuing everybody. Everybody's work is important, and when you respect people, you have to respect you, like respect is earned. I have a fine gentleman as the deputy minister. We get along so well. We've known each other for a very long time, and we understand each other very well, and we plan our work together. We discuss everything before we do it. I delegate duties. He's got his own things to do, and I've got mine to do. For instance, I wasn't here for the whole of last week, and this morning the first thing he did was to come here and brief me of everything that had happened in my absence.
Madam Dasama also said the mission statement of the ministry is to promote and protect the rights of women, children, the aged, persons with disability, and other vulnerable groups through development and a review of policies, advocacy, coordination with stakeholders, building capacity and effective monitoring and evaluation in order to enhance equity for all. The Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs has stated that our ministry will work closely with national advocacy and welfare groups and other development partners. In order to maintain stability in its service provision, the minister said she will strengthen good working relationship among the different directorates and commissions of the ministry.
Well, my priority areas are in line with the President's new direction agenda, working with development partners to improve the lives of children, to improve the lives of women, with promote women's agenda, and I want to really work with all directorates. Of course, in the past, like you asked before, there have been these problems between the minister and the disability department.
This statement is similar to what the minister made before the Parliamentary Committee on Appointment during the parliamentary vetting prior to her approval. In that vein, Sierra Leoneans do look forward to a new dawn at the Social Welfare Ministry. SLBC News, Nasiruddin Kuruma.
The chairman of the National Commission for Democracy, Dr. Abubakar Kagu, and some senior management staff of the commission have paid a working visit to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba. The aim of the visit, according to Dr. Kagu, was to congratulate the minister on his appointment as Foreign Affairs Minister and to acquaint him with NCD's mandate, programs and activities. Hawanatu Bangula was there.
The meeting meeting saw the presentation of a copy of the civic education curriculum to the Foreign Affairs Minister. It could be recalled that the National Commission for Democracy was one of the institutions established in 1994 by the military government of the National Provisional Ruling Council, NPRC, to facilitate the reintroduction and consolidation of democracy in Sierra Leone. Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Abubakar Karbu, expressed delight in the New Direction's quest in promoting civic education to create the enabling environment where citizens will be properly educated on democratic good governance.
That's why it's a great task which would like the government to help us ensure that the 7 million people in Sierra Leone are well educated, well grounded. They should have that knowledge to have that civic responsibility.
The Commissioner underscored the significance of mutual collaboration with the Foreign Ministry, noting that it will serve as a source or channel for marketing and promoting partnerships with external donors. Dr. Abubakar Karbu highlighted some of the programs and activities undertaken by NCD. Key among them is the development of the National Civic Education Curriculum for basic education in schools. He disclosed that NCD will organize a mini-conference on national cohesion in July this year. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba, thanked the Commissioner and staff for the recognition of his ministry as a key player in enhancing the Commission's mandate. Dr. Kaba said the Commission's programs are in line with the foreign policy projection of his ministry.
We are projecting our commitment to strengthening democratic institutions. And we are projecting our commitment to foster the growth of democracy all around the world. So this meeting is really important to us on several levels. And I want to start off by assuring the National Commission on Democracy that you will always find in us willing partners. We know that in advancing economic diplomacy on behalf of our country, the best way to sell our country today in the world we live in is to point at institutions that help to strengthen our resolve to stay on the course of democratic governance.
The minister assured them of his ministry's commitment to cultivate a sense of nationalism, patriotism, and loyalty to the state in every citizen, which he said is in line with the new direction.
Still watching Newshour on SLBC. It's time now for the latest sports news. Let's join Francis Barnett. Hello, good evening and welcome to Sports Updates on Newshour. I am Francis Barnett, and for sports now, the availability of sports facilities in the country has been a challenge to the development and performance of athletes. This, according to many sports stakeholders, is one of the causes of poor performance of local athletes in international competition. SLBC Sport Desk has been following the story.
Facilities are very central to meaningful sports participation, whether in schools, amateur, recreational or competitive. They are as important to the athletes as the laboratories are to the scientists. Without facilities, sports cannot take place. This does not, however, imply that sports facility is the only variable that is necessary for sports participation. Others such as equipment, supplies and finance are indispensable complement to sports facilities. Having said this, the availability, adequacy, standard, funding, maintenance, supervision, safety, location and accessibility to sports facilities deserves prompt and swift intervention by relevant stakeholders for sports to thrive in the country. For many sports-loving fans, the poor management and maintenance of sports facilities is among many factors impeding against progress of sports in the country. Time and again, athletes have been complaining of facilities not in tune with international standards, which leads to the poor performance of local athletes in international competitions. But what do authorities concerned make of this claim? Abubakar Kaspaki is the General Secretary of the Sierra Leone Athletics Association.
Looking at the track, it's just like we are using the Shaka Street. No difference between the Shaka Street and the track we are running. Therefore, putting a lot of complaint to the Ministry of Sport to see how best they can make a change of the track we are using, but people don't respect sport. People don't seem to look at the ambassadors of sport are here, ambassadors of sport. They rather putting themselves before the sport they are covering, meaning they have the assertion that themselves come first before the country. That could be one of the major reasons why we are having a lot of defection. When you take athletes to international competitions, they are not coming back because of the facilities they are seeing over there in this country.
According to Mohamed Ben Sibao, an FIVB referee, sports facilities in Sierra Leone cannot be compared to other facilities in other countries in Africa and the world at large.
If you consider athletics, for example, you consider volleyball, you consider lawn tennis, you consider basketball, table tennis. These are indoor sports, more or less. So if you have a situation in which you start your program, say for example, in September, you train all the way to March, maybe April, it's normally not intensified. And then it begins to rain, unlike this year, we've still not experienced heavy rain, and then in Guinea, the athletes, when you stop training because of the rain, the athletes in Guinea is still training because they have access to indoor facility. Okay. The athletes in Morocco is still training. So by the time the rainy season is over, you've kind of reset, like you reset your phone. You are back to normal. Okay. So you have to start all over again. So if you were at a level, say 50-50 with the athlete in Morocco or that in Liberia or Nigeria, you are back to 25 or 20. So by the time you try to catch up to reach the level you were before the race at 50, that athlete is 100 now.
George Wyndham is a para table tennis player who have represented Sierra Leone in different international competitions, including the Brazil Paralympic Games. He also explained his ordeal as a result of poor facilities in the country.
Actually, we cannot compare facilities that we have here with international facilities when it comes to Africa in particular. You understand? Because here we have what we have, but the facilities are not in that standard.
Okay, does that affect you when you go into international competition?
Of course, yes, a lot. You understand? A lot. It affects me a lot, and it affects other athletes a lot because, I mean, what we are supposed to have, or even the time duration of our training, because of the facilities we have here, we are not match up with African countries or other countries.
Authorities in the country, however, need to pay attention to development of facilities if sport is to develop in the country. The Siaka Stevens Stadium needs urgent repairs as most of the facilities have worn out and part of it is also used as dwelling place by unknown people. For SLBC News, Frances Bernard in Freetown.
Well, SLBC will continue to do a follow-up on that story. And now for another sports story, the Central One Football Association round of 32 match between Brazil community and that of Mountain City ended 8-7 in a post-match penalty in favor of Brazil community, meaning Mountain City is now out of the competition. Well, that's all we can provide for you in this edition of Sports Update on Newshour. I am Frances Bernard. Thanks to Francis Barnard and the sports desk for that sports news. In entertainment now, Sierra Leonean US-based rapper Jassiz has released a brand new video titled Temptation, and American controversial rapper XXXTentacion has been shot and killed on Monday in Florida. Let us now join our entertainment desk where Mohammed King Melan Bangura is all set to give us updates.
Jassiz is a young Sierra Leonean US-based rapper in Ohio State. Jassiz was born in Freetown at the Mount Royal and grew up at Lumley Street, central part of Freetown. Jassiz attended the St. Edward's Secondary School, and in 2004, he left the source of Sierra Leone for the United States of America. Jassiz studied computer engineering at the Ohio State University. According to Jassiz in a telephone interview for in Ohio, USA, he said he got his musical inspiration from various musicians ranging from reggae, hip-hop, R&B, and more.
Basically, I was inspired. I was inspired growing up to reggae music, hip-hop, like the Tupac Shakur, like the Bob Marley, the Joe Eagles, the Biggie, you know, like all that, like the 50 Cent. All that inspire me. Like music, basically, like it's always in me. Like the talent is always in me. Like
Jassiz said he has composed over 30 mixtapes, and he is now ready to prove to Sierra Leone that he is a real star. Jassiz formed a musical rap group called Da Movement, and he released his first music video titled Anything a Time in 2015. Later followed by Still and Dong Sai, with more zeal and determination for the music business. Jassiz has released a brand new video titled Temptation, and he believes the song will take Sierra Leone music to a higher height. Asked about the reason for such a song, he says,
the reason why I did the song Temptation, like out here I don't go through a lot where I don't deal with like different type of females, different nationalities, and sometimes it's always temptation, especially when you go out with your girl or something. It's always temptation. It's always you out. It's always somebody want to sneak you the number. You feel me? That's the temptation.
If I take you, baby, I'm gonna bring them back. Temptation, 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 baby, you not temptation, distraction.
Jassiz believes that Sierra Leone is full of talents, and he had decided to join the line for such talents, and optimistic that with the release of his new video and his album soon to be released, the sky is surely the limit for him.
I've seen a nigga hung with a gold chain. I'd rather sing about the same things that we claim. Such a bashful, but niggas like a task force.
Justin Dwayne Onfo was born January 23rd, 1998.
This is Newshour on SLBC, and as we round up the news bulletin, we'll take you to the world. International news now. US President Donald Trump has promised action to keep families together amid fury over separations of undocumented child migrants from adults. The Department of Homeland Security has reportedly drafted an executive order to stop the policy, though its wording and scope is unclear. Mr. Trump earlier urged lawmakers to pass a bill ending family separations. The Republican president also wants immigration laws to be toughened under any such legislation. The U.S. has pulled out of the United Nations Human Rights Council, calling it a cesspool of political bias. The U.S. envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, said the hypocritical and self-serving body makes a mockery of human rights. Formed in 2006, The Geneva-based council has been criticized for allowing countries with questionable human rights records to be members. But activists say the US move could hurt efforts to monitor and address human rights abuses around the world. Migrant and refugee organizations in Hungary are facing an uncertain future after the country's parliament passed legislation on Wednesday that criminalizes helping undocumented immigrants, including asylum seekers. The legislation makes several basic human rights activities illegal. Helping refugees fill in forms, distributing information to asylum seekers about how to claim refugee, or organizing professional networks to help migrants could result in a possible jail sentence as punishment. And finally, more than 200 people are feared to have crammed aboard the small, rickety vessel to make the 40-minute journey across Lake Toba on the Indonesian province of North Sumatra. Many of those on board were young families returning home to celebrate Eid al-Fitr, the Muslim holiday that marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Within 20 minutes, most of those passengers would be dead, trapped inside the vessel's main cabin as it overturned and sank. Moments before the accident, high waves up to 3 meters are thought to have buffeted the boat, rocking it from side to side. That's all in the international news. And to end the news bulletin, a recap of breaking news that came in the form of a press release from Office of the President, which reads, pursuant to Section 3.1 of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008, the general public is hereby informed that it has pleased His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio to announce the following appointment subject to the approval of Parliament. Francis Ben Kaifala, Esquire, Commissioner, Anti-Corruption Commission. Other appointments will be announced in due course. That's the end of the press release from State House. And to end our news bulletin for the hour, I take you through the main points of our news. Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Sierra Leone chapter pledge their support to President Bio's government. World Bank country team report on Sierra Leone's economy shows poor economic performance for 2017. The Minister of Works and the Sierra Leone Roads Authority are monitoring ongoing works in the western area. And the Sierra Leone Brewery Limited records a profit of 1.9 billion leones in 2017. That's all the news are on SLBC this evening. I'm Vivian Swill. Have a good night. Cheers.